Yo, welcome back to Kokoro Journey, the podcast where we grow through what we love. Whether it's gym grind, gaming sessions, or learning Japanese one level at a time. I'm your host, and we've got another episode packed with real talk and personal wins. This week, I was thinking a lot about training while tired. Like, I'm with my boy at the gym today. I've realized halfway through the workout or just during the workout, I keep mentioning I'm knackered. It got me thinking. Like, how do you know if it's discipline or just self-sabotage? Listen to your body, not just a program. There's a fine line between pushing through a tough day and ignoring real signs of burnout. There's many signs for burnout. You might be burnt out if you're always tired, even after you rest. Your lists feel heavier than they should, or your motivation just isn't there. And it's not just physical. Burnout can mess with your sleep, your focus, and even your mood. It's your body and brain trying to tell you they're overloaded. Even elite athletes deload or modify training. Your program is a guide, not a command. The difference between being sore and being drained. Soreness after a good session is expected. But if your lifts feel shaky when your motivation is dead, it's something deeper. Drained nervous systems don't always show up physically. You've got to watch your mood and focus levels too. There's a fine line between pushing through a tough day and ignoring real signs of burnout. I myself have in the past injured my shoulder whilst doing bench. I'm sure that's a common injury for anyone who does bench. But I changed the workout, went a little lighter a couple of weeks later, and then got back to it. You should listen to your body, especially if it's an injury, not just the program. The difference between being sore and being drained. Soreness after a good session is expected. But if your lifts feel shaky, or your motivation's dead, it's something deeper. For me, especially during the time of my injured shoulder, it was like a mood. My mood was distraught. I guess ruined. I'm not lifting as heavy as I normally could. So it doesn't have to always be physically, but it could be your emotions and mentally. A drained nervous system don't always shows up physically, but your mood and your focus levels too. Recovery tools and rituals that actually help. Proper rest, hydration, and even light stretching can flip a bad week around. I used to not do a lot of stretching. I still don't do enough. But I've implemented about 10 minutes of stretching every morning. I've noticed a change in my ability to keep and get proper form whilst doing hanging leg raises. I used to have a massive arch underneath my knee, behind my knees when trying to do hanging leg raises. And now, ever since implementing stretches and stretching, I can get my legs almost perfectly straight. There's hardly any hinge at the knees when doing my leg raises. Think recovery as training as well. Your muscle only grows when you rest and not when you lift. The whole thing of growing muscles at the gym is you lift to destroy your muscles, and then the rest heals and fixes your muscles. On to the next segment. Learning Japanese kind of reminds me of playing an old school RPG. The slow grind where you don't feel stronger until one day you just are. It can often feel like nothing's happening But then one day you understand a line in an anime without subtitles and it clicks. I've had that before. For me, I was in the kitchen having breakfast, and in the other room, my brother was watching an anime out loud, and I heard the line, "Daijoubu desu ka?" And I understood. It's just asking, "Are you okay?" In the anime, it was screaming, "That's dangerous. Abunai." The jump from beginner to intermediate often happens without warning. Just trust the slow gains. You won't notice when you've gone from a beginner to an intermediate. Just trust it, it'll happen. Consistency is key. Consistency and repetition is the grind and the reward. Practicing the same words or grammar over and over is boring, but it's exactly what makes you fluent. The amount of times I've practiced saying hello, good evening, my name is, nice to meet you in Japanese, and the difference in how fluent I am in announcing and pronouncing those words in comparison to the other words I'm just learning is significant. It reminds me the time I got reincarnated as a slime, where farming slimes and smaller insects and creatures and goblins for XP is tedious. But every repetition levels you up. And in that series, everyone knows Rimuru is OP now. Speaking of Rimuru, and the time I got reincarnated as a slime, side quests matter. Enjoying the culture speed things up. Watching anime, reading manga, or listening to Japanese music deepens your connection and helps the language stick. My enjoyment from anime and listening to all the Japanese intros, music, and the love that I've gotten from loving the show, enjoying the show, and the passion that it's created makes it easier for me to learn. When you love what you're learning, it starts feeling like a chore and becomes something you look forward to. The next segment, gaming. The psychology of why we can't stop playing the same games. You ever notice how even with all these new games coming out, we always go back to the same ones? Comfort gaming hits different after a long day. When life's hectic, jumping into a familiar game is like going home, no stress, no learning curve. For me right now, it's Star Wars Battlefront 2. I know the controls, I love the simplicity and the difficulty of the game. The vibes are immaculate, just chilling with the boys, there's no ranks, so messing around with the boys is perfectly A-OK, as well as working together to coordinate a group attack and having fun doing so. You know what to expect. That predictability is almost therapeutic. Mechanics over graphics. Why are old games still hooks us? A well-designed game feels satisfying no matter how basic it looks. Now for me, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a good-looking game, but compared to some of the games coming out nowadays, it's not perfect, it's not the greatest looking game, but the controls, the simplicity of it, and some of the difficult mechanics, you spend time in grinding and learning. Now, it's not a super old game, but compared to some of the games coming out nowadays, it just doesn't compete in terms of graphics. But it's not about how real it looks, it's about how real it feels to play. Replaying games is like rewatching a favorite anime. It's not about discovering something new, it's about reliving a memory or feeling. Playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 with my friends reminds me of the time when I wasn't working and we'd get home from school and we'd just hop on and we just do dumb shit within the game. One thing me and my friends used to do in the game, we'd work together to coordinate and push into a lunge attack. So my friend would just force push and choke them with Darth Maul all the way across the map, and I'd go General Grievous and I'd lunge at the enemy and I'd just go flying across the map. And it's that memory and feeling of just messing around and having fun that's just great about going back to old games. Sometimes we're just chasing nostalgia more than novelty. Anyway, that's all for this week's podcast. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time. Ja ne.